Hello, my name is Mia Pajakowski, and today I'll be presenting my field observation assignment for Edbe AP50. My research explores how technological and cultural shifts are changing students' cognitive and literacy skills, and what that means for their ability to think critically and solve problems independently. Over the past decade, we've seen major changes in how students learn. With constant access to digital tools, AI systems, and online resources, many learning tasks that once required effortful thinking can now be completed instantly. According to the erosion of cognitive skills in the technological age, when students rely too heavily on technological shortcuts like calculators, GPSs, or AI regulated tools, they perform fewer mentally demanding operations. And at the same time, new teaching strategies such as flipped classrooms and active learning are showing potential to restore these skills by re-engaging students in deeper and independent thinking. This leads to my central research question, which is how have changes in students' cognitive and literacy skills over the past decade affected their ability to engage in higher order thinking and independent problem solving? And in order to explore this question, I analyzed 5 peer-reviewed sources published between 2023 and 2025. And together they examine how technology use, classroom culture, and literacy practices influence higher order thinking. In order to just give a little bit more context as to what the 5 peer-reviewed sources that I looked at were, the first one was a neuroscience-based study on how reduced cognitive efforts affect reasoning and attention. The second one was an educational study that examined how online searching changes reflection and comprehension. The third one was a paper analyzing how AI tools and affect writing quality and creative literacy. The fourth one was a quasi-experimental study comparing active and traditional teaching methods. And the last one was a continuation of their work, exploring how classroom engagement impacts deep learning. So by synthesizing these sources, I identified 5 consistent themes across the literature. So there were 5 major patterns that I noticed that appeared across all 5 of the sources that I reviewed. So the first one being that cognitive effort is decreasing. So studies are showing that students are less likely to engage deeply with new information when digital tools can do the work for them. Tasks that once required memory, problem solving, or careful thought can now be completed with quick searches or AI responses. So the mental effort is reduced. When the mental effort is reduced, the brain forms weaker pathways for judgment, reasoning, and analysis over time, making it harder for students to stay focused and solve problems without digital help. The second connection was surface level searching is replacing reflection, which kind of correlates to the first point. So instead of evaluating sources or comparing different ideas, many students search quickly and move on, gathering information without really processing it. So this habit encourages shallow learning, and as a result, they rarely pause to question accuracy or biases. The third thing is literacy performance appears polished, but depth is missing. So AI tools allow students to produce clean, grammatically correct writing, but many struggle to add personal insight or critical interpretation. And this shows a divide between technical literacy, which is improving, and critical literacy, which is declining. So writing might look strong on the surface, but it often will lack depth or originality. The fourth connection was higher order thinking declines without challenge. So skills like analysis, evaluation, and creativity only grow when students are pushed to think deeply and critically. But when tasks are too easy or technology completes the steps, students lose this mental workout needed to maintain these skills. So similar to how unused muscles weaken over time. And the last major connection was that active learning improves deep thinking. So teaching strategies that require participation, like the flipped classroom, group problem solving, and group discussion-based activities lead to stronger critical thinking skills. So in my own placement, I observed in an English class where students were engaged in structured peer discussions and analyses. And unlike passive lectures, active learning encourages students to defend their reasoning, compare perspectives, and take ownership of their ideas. So in all, these results highlight a really important challenge for educators and future educators such as myself. As learning becomes more efficient, students may lose the opportunity to struggle and fail productively. And that struggle is essential to building deep understanding. So the findings of all these studies suggest that teachers must create intentional opportunities for mental effort, such as inquiry-based projects, Socratic discussions or reflective writing tasks. Again, like I observed in one of the classes that I was in, the teachers had them fully put away their laptops, and the entire discussion was solely based on what they found from the paper and comparing that with their peers. And these not only build critical thinking, but also help students to become more independent and self-guided learners. So in conclusion, the research has shown a really clear shift. Students today are more digitally fluent, but less cognitively engaged. So when tasks require little effort, reasoning and creativity decline. However, active learning can reverse this trend by reintroducing challenge, dialogue, and reflection into the classroom. Ultimately, balancing the use of technology with deep understanding and participation is really key to preserving these skills that define true education: curiosity, analysis, and independent thought. Thank you.